And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Schmoes Show. I'm your host, the infamous Orion.
I'm Cairo. I'm also a schmo.
Oh shit!
I was expecting something. That's why I waited.
Okay. Three, two, one.
Rewind.
Rewind. I was just thinking about doing it just straight this episode. I didn't know how I was gonna botch the intro, but I guess my own subconscious decided to rat me out on that. Um,
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Two Schmo Show. I'm your host, the infamous Orion, and I'm a schmo.
And I'm Cairo. And I'm also a schmo.
And this show can't have one fucking good intro. Welcome everybody.
Never.
Um, what a slow week. Uh,
It's ironic. I was thinking about that because it absolutely isn't. We've just kind of gotten normalized to what's all been happening in Ukraine at this point.
yeah, you're right. Maybe if it
But I mean,
wasn't,
like,
go,
yeah, relatively, it's like just the status quo. It's like,
yeah,
yeah,
pe-
shit's still happening.
people are dying.
Yep.
Sunflower seeds are being planted.
Yeah.
Um, any updates on Ukraine?
Oh yeah. The two, three, four biggest events was a number of targeted Russian strikes. One at, I believe, a theater that was being used as like a bomb shelter, basically, for civilians, of course. That
Nice.
was very clearly targeted. Um, and they're still, I believe, working to clear away rubble, looking for survivors from that. The other being a similar strike on a Ukrainian military facility of some sort that had a number of Ukrainian troops sleeping. It was at night, and there have been dozens confirmed dead as a result of that strike, which was particularly tragic.
I like how there's so much tragedy, but this is a particular tragedy.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
where we are at right now. Wow.
List of war crimes continues to expand. Reports in Mariupol of civilians, particularly women and children, being forcibly moved from Ukraine to God knows where. Um, so just tally it up on the list, right?
I
But
mean,
it's
yeah,
it, the what I heard was that in those regions was something like 80% of structures had been damaged severely as a result of the fighting.
really.
So yeah, it's very clear that it's not like it was ever not clear, but basically confirmed that there's no interest at this point for the Russian military of trying to really occupy anything. They're just kind of scorching it and doing what they need to uh, take territory, I guess. And even then, they're still struggling. Um, so far, even with conservative numbers, the Russian military has lost more troops in 20 days of fighting than the US lost in Afghanistan over almost 20 years.
Wasn't there like a report that was done recently about like the infrastructure of the Russian military and how it's kind of corrupt and the wrong people get promoted? And
Mm,
it's kind of showing right now.
well, I don't know about. I would not be surprised if that happens, but that wasn't the angle of it that I had heard. What I had heard was more on like the supply side of it, where you say, okay, general, say make some American name, but Russian general person, here's $5 million to outfit your troops for whatever specific purpose. And they go, cool, pocket 2.5 million of it and put the other 2.5 million of it into subpar or underfunding the equipment that they do get.
Mm.
So rampant corruption showing its effects. One of the other, just speaking of corruption, one of the other big events at this last week was a rally that Putin allegedly held.
Hmm.
And I say allegedly because there seems to be questionable reports if he was actually there. There were a number of pieces that were drawing suspicion at the start of it with Putin himself, where people were like, hey, it doesn't really look like he's there. It kind of looks like a green screen kind of thing. And it was
Nice.
especially suspicious with his attire because you could clearly see that he was not wearing like a bulletproof vest or anything at all, which, like, he is pretty unlikely to be directly attacked by his own people at this point, but still, you have a stadium with tens of thousands of people in it, allegedly, and you're just going to stand in the middle of it with no protection at all.
Hmm.
Not so sure about that. But then it also turned out that even if he was actually there, they were reusing footage from an event in 2020 to make it look like more, pretty young people were there. There's, like shot by shot comparisons of this event at the stadium in 2020 compared to this rally that they allegedly held there just this last week. And it was like exactly the same. Like, not even like edited or anything, not different footage. It was like just the same footage, just laid over top of it. So, just some more. It's like the with the Putin's desk, how it gets longer and longer every time he has a meeting at it.
That's some Citizen Kane chicanery right there. Um, it's kind of fascinating to see some of this Russian state propaganda kick up so much lately.
It is. I find it really amusing because it's basically the same stuff that they've always done,
Yeah,
but seeing it in like this context is just like, wow, has it always been this bad? Oh yeah, I guess it has been.
I mean, I think we're just a little warped as Americans to it. I feel like if you
Mhm.
didn't grow up on like a whole bunch of like internet forums and known like all these techniques that people do to edit footage from like a young
Yep,
age, maybe it's a little easier to get lost in it. But at the same
for
time,
sure.
it's like uncanny valley. It's
Well,
not correct.
especially when you're watching it on a TV broadcast that God knows how good the actual signal being transmitted is.
Good point.
I've
Versus,
been very amused on like the NATO side of this. I believe these are both polls in the US. One's The Economist and the other's CBS, that were talking about like, do you support a no-fly zone over Ukraine? This is the thing that keeps coming up that people don't seem to understand. And I really enjoyed these because you have the CBS one. Do you support or oppose a no-fly zone over Ukraine? And it had 59% support, 41% oppose.
okay,
So more in support than oppose.
yeah,
Then they changed the question to no fly zone over Ukraine if it's viewed as an act of war.
what?
Because yes, that's what it is. You can't have a no fly zone unless you're going to enforce it.
Yeah,
And then we have, do you, this is the Economist, do you think enforcing a no fly zone over Ukraine is a good idea or a bad idea? 40% in support, 30% against, 30% not sure. And then, should the US military shoot down Russian military planes flying over Ukraine?
what?
Because that's
Hmm.
what it amounts to.
Hmm.
It's like, what, these people are just like, yeah, no fly zone. Ah. Wait, we have to do what? Um, and a Twitter I guess artist drew a quick little piece here. I'll send it to you about
Please.
foreign policy and foreign consequences. Should we sow? No. Ha ha. Fuck yeah. Are you ready to reap? Yes. Wait, what?
That's pretty funny.
Because it's just like, yeah, shit has consequences. It would be great if we could just say, you know, I declare no fly zone, and that was it. But it's not. Russia, if you declare a no-fly zone, Russia will test it, and if you don't actually back it up by shooting down Russian planes and basically starting World War III, you might as well have not done it in the first place, because now you just look like a coward.
Yeah. I mean, that's what a lot of politics is like you can't say much unless you're gonna nut up and do it.
Uh-huh.
Because the moment you just straight up back up on it, you are going to be trounced, motherfucker.
Yep. For sure. I think that's like the big events that happened this week in Ukraine. Um, of course, still constant fighting. Um, it has been very. I'm sure it's just as shocking for the people actually fighting there, but hearing the number of possible Russian casualties that are being reported after such a short period of time is really surprising. So, if it keeps up, they're not going to be able to keep it up. They will like run out of people.
I don't know. Which do you think's going to last longer, the Russian military budget or the supply chain of people?
Yeah. Like, what supply chain are they going to run out of first? Fuel or people?
Well, it depends. How much money do you think they can make versus how many babies do you think they can make? Like state
Yeah.
mandated breeding.
I don't think they'd live long enough for those babies to be able to hold a weapon.
That's true. So what is even the end game at this point?
So, as far as I can tell, both, and this is the case with both sides of this,
Yeah.
both Russia and NATO kind of wants the area between the NATO countries and Russia to stay as a buffer.
Yeah.
Neither of them want to be on the doorstep of the other. And that's the legitimate reason why Russia is invading. Ukraine has made it very publicly clear that they are in favor of both joining NATO and the EU if given the chance, and Russia is taking whatever actions they feel they need to prevent that from happening, including basically just turning Ukraine into a barren wasteland that nobody lives in, as long as you have that gigantic buffer space between them and Germany.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's the core reason why they don't care if they bomb the shit out of everything, because they're not expecting to have people actually stay there. They just want that area of land that you have to cross before you can actually touch Russia. And you can be sure if, it's no surprise if Ukraine was to join NATO or the European Union, there would definitely be military aspects coordinated with that. And you would be pretty fucking sure to see NATO military activity very near the Russian border. Because of course,
Yeah.
right? They're like, the enemy. Before they were kind of air quotes the enemy. Now they're just the enemy at this point.
I think like Russia just set like a precedent for like the next 20 years
Mm-hmm.
of diplomacy between NATO and well, was
Oh
it
yeah.
CPAC?
I don't know that one.
Isn't that the alliance Russia's part of?
Oh, the one with Brazil,
Yeah, no.
or is that a different one? A different one you're thinking of?
I
CPAC is the Conservative Political Action Conference.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
For brevity's sake, let's just say NATO and Russia.
yeah. There is an alliance. God, it's Brazil, China, Russia, India. BRICS.
BRICS.
BRICS is a NATO-like agreement focused on economic cooperation between Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
That's a little. I don't know. That's a weird assortment of countries.
It is, but they're also like the five largest economies that are not English speaking primarily.
Okay, that works. That makes perfect sense.
Yep.
The
It's
language
like,
barrier is very.
yeah, it's not Europe, not the US, not Australia.
Yeah. I mean, I
I guess
can.
technically New Zealand, but they're kind of small.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Yep.
But I can't imagine the communication efforts aren't the best because of all the translation that need to be done.
Oh yeah. And at this point it seems like that alliance has not been for much because China's response has been mixed to say the least, but kind of teetering on taking, kind of a hands-off approach of like, hey, we don't really give a shit. We're happy to buy the stuff we were buying anyway, but like we're not going to be actively aggressive either way in this. We're not putting anything of ourselves on the line. And India's taken the same perspective where they're still buying Russian oil because they don't really give a shit.
I
As
mean,
long as they can still continue to operate, eh, why bother?
what I mean, okay, let's be very blunt about India and China. Did anybody expect them to take a stance on this? Because quite frankly, they have no like win or loss
Yeah,
in this.
not really. I would have hoped China, no.
No.
India, I'm not surprised to see their reaction, especially given their current leadership.
Yeah.
I would have hoped that maybe our government could have been like, hey, India, we'll sell you fuel at the same price to make up for the shortfalls if you don't buy the Russian gas. Something, diplomatic like that to further the shared causes of not having that continue to happen.
Yeah. Oh well, this is very much a Western world conflict, and I don't expect
Mm-hmm.
many Eastern countries to really give a shit.
Yep. One thing that I did see this week that I think it was this week that I thought was interesting was that apparently China has been showing like undoctored, unedited coverage of the actual events that are happening in Ukraine.
Okay.
So like they're not trying to cover up what's happening and spin the full Russian narrative that has been happening, in Russia where it's just propaganda.
Yeah.
Um, they're not trying to hide that at all, which is interesting because presumably if they were going to be furthering support of Russia, they would want to feed the same propaganda to their own citizens to have their own population support of it. And given that they're not, they might just as well be going like, "Hey, look what happens when you act up." That was my thought. Like, "Hey, Taiwan, stay over there."
So here's a thought. Why not just like spam all the, shocking shit Russia's doing when you're trying to hide your own shocking shit while you what you're doing, you know? Just makes sense. How are those?
Arguably, you could say, "Oh, well, of course we had no problem showing this awful thing. Why would we hide our own awful thing?" Right?
Yeah, exactly. Not like there's any Muslim concentration camps that have very little depiction in the real world.
None at all.
Yeah. The alleged Muslim concentration camps
Yes.
that Disney's Mulan was filmed right next to. Allegedly.
Yes, allegedly.
God. When did
What
just
a
like
wonderful
things just
world we
start
live in.
sucking?
They always just kind of have, honestly.
Fair enough.
When did things start to go bad? Yes.
Well, there's this guy named Adam, real motherfucker of a dude. Don't get me wrong. Had some good qualities. Um, then this lady named Lilith came along and a lady named Eve. The rest is history.
Let's talk about some lighter news.
Oh, there's later news?
Yeah. Canada mosque attack.
Hell yeah.
So I mostly wanted to bring this up very briefly because there was an attempted attack on a Canadian mosque by a man, 24-year-old man, who was arrested, wielding an axe. And hey, would you know, he was stopped and was able to be restrained.
Were they taking away his freedoms?
Well, they probably will be after he tried to kill people, but
Kyril, there was a man with a gun and they're trying to take away his freedoms.
no, he
Something
had an axe, not a gun.
an A gun axe is what you're saying.
No, no, just
He
just an
he
axe.
had the right to bear
They
arms,
stopped him
Pyro.
with bear spray.
Oh my
Literally, they stopped him with bear spray.
I'm sorry. I was trying to do the skit where we pretend to be caring about someone's freedoms, but we're really just
Yeah,
like applauding their
yeah,
terrible
yeah.
actions that the U.S. loves to do. And the bear spray got me. You win. I'm not. I can't one up bear spray.
Yeah. So, it just, I always think that these are really important stories to talk about because it shows how people are able to defend themselves. If you have to choose between, have you seen the JonTron skit where he talks about gun safety?
No, but please go on.
It is amazing. I will find the link real quick while I'm talking, but there's a video that he found that was part of like a Canadian police department's training stuff that was very much parody.
Mm-hmm.
It was, partly serious in trying to represent certain dangers, but it was very clearly not meant to be taken 100% seriously. Um, and a part of it that JonTron did was talking about a guy with a scimitar, a large sword, and it's this like 30-second bit of John with like a prop shotgun and this guy with this sword about 10 meters away trying to charge at John, and he just keeps shooting him because, yeah, no shit. So, like, if somebody has an axe, they're a lot easier to stop than somebody who has a gun.
You don't
Who would have
say.
imagined? Who would have imagined? It's called Surviving Edged Weapons. Was the video. It's
Beautiful.
great.
Mm.
Highly recommend it. So yeah,
I kind of want to carry bear
people without
mace.
guns are, it's harder to commit acts of terror when you don't have guns. Who would have imagined?
Guns OP. Please nerf.
In some actually more lighthearted news, we talked about this before, where there is a heist on the set of the Netflix series being filmed, Lupin,
Okay. Yes.
where they stole like $300,000 worth of like camera equipment.
Yes.
Apparently, a bunch of them have been caught and charged.
I was rooting for them. It would have been funny.
Yep, appears to have been part of an organized gang receiving stolen goods. Jesus, as young as 13. Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Okay. Now I'm no longer rooting for them. They need to get their life on track.
Yeah, hopefully they do. Apparently, about 20 people were allegedly involved in the original heist, and they have, in a number of ways, brought into custody 7 of them.
Nice.
3 of them are being held in custody for under judicial supervision. Like, yeah, if someone's 13, like, jeez.
I want to know how a 13-year-old gets on the set of Lupin to like,
Mhm.
and then just happens to know where to get the camera equipment when no one like. The problem with camera equipment is it should never be left alone. So, how did this 13-year-old get his hands on it?
So in this case, it was just like brute force. There's
Okay.
20 of these people. They bust their way in. They grab props, cameras, whatever they can, and leave.
Damn.
Yep. Like it's much less heist and more. If you're a film crew, how do you stop 20 people at the same time when you're being attacked?
Bear mace.
They apparently launched fireworks at the film crew.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Why?
So like
I'm going
I
so
wanted
back
to
and
root for
forth.
these guys because it's funny because they did a heist by shooting fireworks at people, but also the irony of stealing from the set of Lupin, a show about a master thief.
Yes.
But yeah, it's kind of sad.
Oh well.
Oh well.
The world's always sucked, apparently.
Yeah, kind of. MGM, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, has now become a part of Amazon. $8.45 billion deal.
That's creepy.
FTC responded earlier today, late yesterday, that they will not be challenging it, which is kind of surprising because I don't know. It's weird, right? It's not like other industries where there's not a ton of competition. There is legitimate competition right now in like the streaming space.
Okay.
But at the same time, it does seem kind of like wow, they just bought all of MGM.
Yes, MGM. I can't get over how big that is. So when are they going to buy the rights to the Bible and just make a Bible movie?
Yeah, we'll see.
They're going to buy the rights to Catholicism, and then they'll have like a Amazon Pope.
Probably.
Um, I don't know how to feel about this. To be perfectly frank,
Hmm.
I don't want it. I'm kind of past the point of like, whoa, isn't it so funny how they're buying weird stuff? And it's just like, no, just kind of want to stop. I like it when there's multiple businesses doing this different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The
good for
big
the
problem that
economy.
I have with Prime in general
Yeah.
is how multifaceted they're making it.
Yeah, it's really trying to be a lifestyle brand.
Yep. And it's working.
Don't say that.
It is. It's unfortunate, but it is.
I don't know. I remember being in college, and of course, college students get Prime membership free.
Yeah.
Um, Never really used it that much. Granted, it wasn't as versatile as it is
No.
right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I I currently have a student Prime subscription, just like $6 a month,
Oh wow.
that I probably get my money's worth on. But once that expires, and it's gonna eventually, it's just like, when does their system catch up and be like, hey, you've been on the student thing for like 8 years now. What's up with that?
You,
Um, it's gonna be a question because it jumps up to like 15 or something like that now.
I think
That's a lot of
so.
money.
Yeah.
I don't I buy plenty from Amazon, but do I buy enough to really give a shit about the slightly faster shipping?
You see, I have this great advantage where I live right next to an Amazon facility. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, I get my stuff really fucking fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of live with a Prime membership, and I don't like it, but you know, whatever.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else that we have to cover before the big one?
So that's kind of the news stuff.
The news.
So, getting more into entertainment, the
Yes.
big announcement this week was Marvel's Miss Marvel trailer being revealed.
Yes, finally.
Yes.
I feel like this show's been in development hell.
Has it been? I don't know. I haven't really followed it at all.
Personally, I haven't been following it too hard, but I feel like it should have came out like a while back.
You know,
Um, a big controversy of the show going forward is that they decided to give Kamala a different set of superpowers than she does in the comics,
yep.
which, whatever, it happens, you know?
Yeah, I don't think we talked about this. We agree. It really wouldn't work
Yeah,
to do it as it was shown. I think that how they've shown it so far is a perfectly adequate compromise.
it's a good compromise on a TV show budget. Because let's
Yep.
face it, making flesh look good in CGI is hard on a TV show budget.
Yep.
Um, so I welcome it. It looks like it's meant for a younger audience than I am, and that's perfectly fine. Um,
Yep.
it looks fun. That's all I have to say. Not really much to get on that trailer. Although I do have one thing I'm very upset with Disney's marketing brand with how they've been doing Marvel shit.
What's that?
I don't like that they're really relying on the whole it's superheroes stuff. Because I don't know. Call me a comic book purist, but I've never seen Marvel as just superhero shit. Um, Even though that yes, that's what it is. I like to think of it as definitely like one giant pool of fiction, and that just kind of blends multiple genres into one. And that might be a more pretentious way of looking at it, but hey,
Yeah.
that's just how I built it up when I was a young child reading it. Um, so just
I
to,
think with the fallout of like in this universe with the Thanos stuff having just happened,
yeah,
I think it's very interesting and should be effective to see the contrasting perspectives of someone like Doctor Strange, who is very much jaded and kind of in a gray area,
yeah.
with Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, who is very much inexperienced to the most absolute degree and kind of like having this unrealistic perspective of what it means to be these superheroes in the way that she idolizes them.
Well, yeah, she's about to get fucking Shrek'd because
Right.
this is the same universe where Tony was like out in space for months, dying
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
starvation.
So we have this point coming up where if they want to, they can set up that very clear contrast between sort of the old guard and these like doughy-eyed new kids coming in that really don't understand what the hell the stakes are. And it gives a chance to use the new cast to display the stakes of the new things that are happening. But we just haven't really yet seen what those new stakes are. We need our
Um,
overarching villain, and we don't have that yet.
no, I mean obviously they're setting up stuff with Eternals. I feel.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I have a couple good ideas for like a couple of good villains, but what would I know? I've only been reading these books since I was like 12.
Yep.
Um, Dumb teenage mind still operating in this world. Um, I don't know. I want this to do really good because I like the character Kamala Khan. She is fun, and I think it is absolutely that's what I'm looking for. Imperative for Marvel to get as many new characters out there um and build this universe because I don't know. I have always been a little upset. We have not been playing with the full toy box of Marvel, and now that we got the toy box at Marvel,
Yep.
I want the toys out. And Kamala is just a piece of the overall picture, and I want it to do good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree. I know a lot of people disagree, but I am very firmly in the camp that representation matters, and
Yes.
having Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel in the Marvel universe, and hopefully now in like the larger stories, is important for having a person that people can look to and feel represented by and relate to.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that is an element of it that is not squandered. That this is a very different character with a different background than what we've had before.
I think it would be. Um, I already know she's going to be in in the Marvel movie, the Marvels. Um, so that'd be cool. Um, I don't know. Have you heard the rumor about Jaden Smith in the MCU?
No, it sounds dumb though.
You know who the big rumor is?
No, no, I've,
Miles.
I've literally not heard of this at all.
Oh, Miles Morales. There's a rumor going around that Jaden Smith is being courted for Miles Morales.
I would be very surprised by that.
Yeah, I don't like
That
it.
would not make so that really that would not make any sense. Marvel has a very clear track record of picking up actors that are either no name or did like one or two big things, but not recently, that clearly have talent, and then sort of building them up into a better actor
Yes.
because it's cheap. You get good talent that's underrepresented in their work. You can get good actors for less. Jaden Smith is not a good actor.
Oof.
We have seen him enough times to know that. So unless something has drastically changed, I don't see how that's actually going to happen.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. I
Miles Morales would be really cool though. I
I
would
I
very much enjoy that.
I welcome a young Morales. I want an older Peter Parker before we get a young Morales. And that's all I will say. Like maybe not Spider-Man 4, maybe a hinted at in Spider-Man 4, but definitely Spider-Man 5.
Does anyone remember After Earth?
You mean the movie where Will Smith tried seeing if his son could inherit his acting on set? I remember After Earth. That was a
What has he been doing lately? I don't think nothing I've heard of. He's doing music.
oh,
He's apparently in a Bieber music video.
that makes sense.
Apparently, the Black Eyed Peas are still making music. What? It's the wrong Will.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be very surprised by that.
Did you hear about Willow Smith?
No.
So we all know Willow Smith for her smash hit and groundbreaking sequel, I Whip My Hair Back and Forth.
Okay.
Well, apparently she's still doing music now, and it's actually
Mm-hmm.
like gotten way better. Apparently,
Has it?
yes.
That's
Like
good.
I was listening to it, and I was very impressed. Like what a glow up! Congratulations, Willow. Keep it up. I want more.
See here. Wasn't the first one on here.
What song are you looking at?
Transparent Soul,
I don't know that one, but go on.
featuring Kid Cudi and Travis Barker.
Oh no, Barker? Like the Travis Barker?
I I don't know.
I believe that's Blink
Seems totally
182.
fine though.
Yeah,
Like I'm just kind of skimming through here, but
yeah. Travis Barker is in Blink 182. Travis Barker. Nice.
yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah. So
So
yes, I
now we need to get to the big thing,
the bat in the room.
the bat in the room.
Yes.
Do we go full spoilers?
Why not? It's been
I
three
want to.
weeks. Yeah.
Say it's been 3 weeks.
If you have not
You
seen
had
this,
your chance.
yeah, it's literally coming in like how many days to HBO Max?
I don't know. It does do that pretty quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, like 45 days they do. So like a month and a half. So we're like halfway there. Whatever. Here we are. Bat Chad Begins, as I like to call the movie.
Not confirmed, but presumed to be April 19th,
Okay.
which
I
should make sense for like the 45 days.
Yeah. Um Bat Chat Begins. Where do we start? Um do we want to do like the story first? Do we want to do like my perspective first, or do you want me to just like do my perspective as we do the story?
So I want to know what your reaction was for when you saw who they had for Falcone
So
or John Turturro.
John Turturro. I really liked Falcone in this movie.
Because he's been in a lot of stuff, and as far as I know, he wasn't in any of the advertisement for it. Like Falcone at all was not like shown in the ads.
Yeah. Um, so Falcone is a cool character to me because my favorite Batman comics. I'm a freaking normie when it comes to Batman, so do not judge me. Um, are Year One and Long Halloween, and they are stories that feature Falcone more. Long Halloween than Year One, but he's mentioned a couple times in Year One. I liked this Falcone. I thought he was a very realistic depiction of how a like a crime family patriarch would react in the world of Batman.
Mhm. I
Uh,
agree.
he,
Felt very slimy,
yeah, like
It
this,
worked really well.
well acted, absolutely
Yep.
great. I kind of like that he's the twist villain. This is a movie with so many layers in the villains, which I am shocked by
Hmm.
because how do I put this? You go in and you just know it's Riddler. Riddler is there to put seats in the everybody in seats. You know, Penguin's
Yep.
in there a little bit.
Yep.
Falcone coming out of nowhere is very impressive, I believe, since he is pretty much like the dual antagonist with Riddler.
Yeah. I really appreciated it.
Yeah.
It was as the whole thing, because it is a detective movie.
Yes.
There is this mystery that the Riddler is putting forth that is what is the source of the corruption going on in Gotham?
Yes.
And all of it does eventually tie back into Falcone. And they did a really good job of sort of painting the picture as they went along without giving away too much until you get to the end and you have the full picture. Then it's like, well, shit.
And then by the time you get the full picture, then they bring him out to the light.
Yep.
Yes. Um, I like it a lot. One thing I'm very skeptical about with this whole new Batman we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm trying to choose my words carefully because it's a very complex idea I have, but I think we are actually adaptating one giant story rather than doing three separate stories all at once. Um, I'm just going on the assumption this is a trilogy because Hollywood likes trilogies. Um, because this movie starts on Halloween,
Yes.
and that's a very important date. And the fact that this movie is basically Falcone's the main villain, Riddler is just a product of Falcone. The fact that this movie takes place over a long stretch of time, because this is a mystery that takes multiple days to
Okay,
solve.
so I think that kind of undercuts it a bit because while the Riddler is definitely kind of ends up as being on the side,
Yeah,
it's very clear how Riddler is using Batman and kind of like the force of the NYP or the Gotham PD as a whole
yeah,
to get to the ends that he wants still.
you're not wrong. You're right.
Like
Um,
that is definitely where the Riddler falls in, but his planning and like forethought into it is pretty surprisingly absolute.
yeah. Um, I think they do a really good job of that with the opening mystery of like, what does the cryptogram mean?
Yep.
To really showcase how far ahead he's really planned.
Yep.
Um, back to my little theory here. They started on
Yes.
Halloween, and the story has Falcone very much be dethroned by a new type of villain in Gotham. What I want to believe is that we are looking at a very long Halloween, um, very long Halloween adaptation. Um, that story is basically about how the crime families in Gotham fall apart and the supervillains of Gotham kind of take over as the heads of crime. Um,
Yep. Especially with Falcone out of the picture, that's like the central figure of it. So now
mhm.
who else can come into it?
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, Penguin is there. He's kind of like this breach between the old guard
Hmm.
and the new guard. Um,
Yep.
Falcone has a whole family in the comics, and I'm kind of curious if we're going to get the family in the next one.
Would be a shame if something was to happen at Arkham.
I have thoughts on that too. Um, because another thing about Long Halloween is that they already kind of imply in Long Halloween that Joker's been established ahead of time. And the fact that Joker is also kind of established in this movie, kind of already in Arkham, further supports my Long Halloween theory. Um,
Yeah.
I, I told you this before
I'll
the show.
say it
Yes.
will be very interesting if they go through with what I think it will be, because I think for the first time that will mean that we have a character in both the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC Cinematic Universe that's the same actor at the same time.
Go on. What do you think?
So the unseen Arkham prisoner at the end of the Batman
Mm-hmm.
is played by Barry Keoghan, who
Yes.
also plays Droog in the Eternals.
I thought that was him when I looked it up.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm all for it.
It would be interesting. I would like to see that kind of tribal barrier get breached. I think that would be good for kind of the genre as a whole to have it not be so much like DC and Marvel competing, because that's very much been how DC has positioned themselves, as trying to compete with Marvel, and it hasn't worked.
Yeah. Um, Another thing I wanted to go over with the story of this. Um, for a movie that's like 3 hours, it did not feel like 3 hours. So
Right?
very great pacing. I am very impressed by it. Um,
Yep. I really appreciated how true to the I said this before, I wish it was a little bit longer,
yes.
because it definitely was paced appropriately. It was consistent, and there wasn't, like clear parts where they had to speed it up to fit things in. They kept the pacing through it. It was true to what it set out from the very start. But I wish they had a bit more time to, flesh out, particularly at the start,
Hmm.
of who is Batman. I think it would have been very easy and justified to show some more of that.
I I don't know. There's so many different ways they can go with this whole story,
Yeah.
and it makes me very excited for this new Batman. Um, I really hope Matt Reeves stays on board for this
Mm-hmm.
because you sure as hell know DC is going to keep everybody else on board.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I have like my own theories. It's like such a good movie. It's probably my favorite Batman movie. I mentioned this before the show, but I don't think you can really compare it to Dark Knight because they're two very different styles of movie. They just happen to have
Yep.
Batman in them, and to a lesser
Yep.
extent, the Joker. Um,
I still think my favorite way of having it described is that the Batman is the best Batman movie we've had, and The Dark Knight is the best Bruce Wayne movie we've had.
that works, yes,
Yeah.
because Bruce Wayne is not an entity in this. It's just Robert
Yeah.
Pattinson out of the Batman costume.
Yeah.
Um, I liked Paul Dano as the Riddler a lot.
Yep.
Uh,
Same.
One thing I'm a little conflicted about in the movie, they kind of hint that the Riddler figured out Batman's Bruce Wayne, and then they say, "Psych, no, he didn't. He just is very close to figuring it out."
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I did not like that. I wish they would have done it. I wish, because
Yeah, but it wouldn't really have made sense,
oh, I know,
with how they wanted to end that.
fair enough.
For me, the two biggest problems that I have with it are right at the start and right at the end. With right at the start, I liked the way that they opened it, kind of like a cold open almost,
Yes.
where it's like immediately you're into it. But I think they could have kept that and had it have been just as impactful if they had some brief prelude or something at all that would have helped to establish Pattinson and or Bruce Wayne and Alfred's relationship. Because as little screen time as they have together in the movie, it felt like they wanted that to be a much more substantial relationship than it appeared to.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
And that felt a bit unwarranted.
I agree. because like there's like a hinting of Bruce feeling bad about the mayor's kid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I wish they would have
You could
explained.
juxtapose that really good.
Yeah, exactly, like a metaphor almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
I get you, kid. I was you
Yeah,
10 minutes ago in this movie when we showed this prequel bit.
yeah. Can I be your
Um,
Alfred?
yeah. Because I really felt like they were hinting at, like, yes, this is Robin. Look at him. He will grow up strong.
Yeah,
But then
exactly.
also, Robin really doesn't make sense in this universe.
I don't mind the
Um,
idea that Robin can show up here. I just don't
I
think
don't either.
it can't be classic boy wonder Robin.
Yep. I think it would need to be like I don't know enough about the Batman world to know if there is a Robin like this. I would assume just because of, you have enough Batmans, you're gonna have one of them eventually. But like a Robin that develops independent of Batman in the model of Batman.
Yeah, dude, that's Nightwing.
Yes. So yeah, like a Nightwing kind of thing would definitely work.
My idea, right? I wouldn't mind if
Mm.
they take this kid and give him like multiple Robins perspective because multiple Robins in the comics.
Yeah.
Um, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, like actual different characters who held the Robin mantle. Um,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if they do find some way to make this kid Robin. There's an infamous story where Joker kind of beats the living fucking shit out of Robin, and leaves him for dead, and Batman believes he's dead, comes back as a villain, called the Red Hood, and
Mm. Yep.
I I wouldn't mind if we do second movie. Joker beats the shit out of Robin. We believe he's dead. Comes back a little bit older, as the Red Hood, but then we have him like kind of get redeemed into Nightwing.
Hmm.
So like Bruce again takes that fatherhood role of being this kid's Alfred and turning him into what he wanted himself to
Yep.
be. Yeah. There's a very strong father metaphor in this series that's very possible. Andy Serkis was also a better Alfred than I thought he would be.
Hmm. Yep. Andy Serkis always exceeds the expectations that I have for him,
Yeah.
which is surprising because they're already, I don't know, he plays a very interesting role with how much CGI work he does,
Mm-hmm.
where he's clearly a very talented and diverse actor, but I always feel like I underrate him.
He's very hard to get a full grasp of.
Hmm. He is. He has a huge range.
Yeah. Um. Also, I'm going to call it right now. That's not the last time we're seeing Selena Kyle. Um.
No, definitely not.
Calling it right.
Zoe Kravitz, Selena Kyle works really fucking well. And if it is, that would be a shame.
She is the definitive Selena Kyle in my eyes.
Yep.
Yep. There's no
So
beating
much.
it.
I really enjoyed Anne Hathaway's portrayal of it in, um, oh shit, the fucking third one. I can't remember the name of it.
Dark Knight Rises.
Oh yeah, no wonder. Um, really enjoyed Anne Hathaway's portrayal of the character. It did a really good job complementing Christian Bale's Batman by being just as kind of boisterous and arrogant in her own way.
Yes.
But for this one, I think that Selena Kyle's or Zoe Kravitz's Selena Kyle as just a character is generally better because it she feels way more grounded
Yes.
and less superhero like. Like, yeah, I could see this person existing.
This whole movie is way more grounded than the Bale movies. And
Hmm.
that is a strength in my opinion. Even though the Bale movies are good. The Bale
Yep.
movies are a superhero movie. Um,
Yes.
this is a noir.
Yes.
And
I
I
love that Batman's greatest superpower is just bulletproof armor and a shitload of it.
yes.
Like there's I think at least two, maybe three scenes where he's being shot at, and they do a really good job of using it to show like, yeah, this is just good armor. It's just how it is. These aren't rifles, these are small arms generally, but it's just well designed. It's not super complicated like the Christian Bale bat suit.
No. I liked how it was very to the point, very
Hmm.
economical.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I'll get into this. I really like Robert Pattinson as Batman.
Yep.
He, how do I put this? I like how villains don't go down with one punch with him.
Hmm.
Um, I also understood that this portrayal is based off Kurt Cobain, and I can see it a lot.
Hmm.
Um, the score having Nirvana songs in it, by the way, a really fucking good
Very nice.
touch. Yes,
Very nice.
I'm a very big Nirvana fan. Um, overall, I welcome our new Battinson.
Yes. Pattinson is good.
Battinson is good. Is he going to be better than Bale though? That's the question. For a good
Probably.
outing, for first outing,
Yep.
definitely swung a home run.
Yep. The other part that I had some exception to was at the very end.
Okay.
The end didn't feel rushed, but it had some weird shots. It kept true to the pacing, but the fight in the catwalks at the very end
Mm-hmm.
felt kind of weird. And him pulling like some syringe of something out and just like, yes, I win, felt wrong,
The
you know?
adrenaline, yeah,
Yeah. If there had been something before that to set it up, load Chekhov's gun, right? So
yeah,
to say, I think that would have been fine. Have Batman in the Batcave and Alfred comes in with some like, you're gonna kill yourself with that or something, and he's, well, if I, have to use it, I'll already be dead anyway. Something stupid like that.
yeah.
Just some back and forth to establish that this is a thing that exists. But it felt like it just kind of came out of nowhere and is just like, yes, Batman has the green juice that lets him win now.
I don't, I don't distrust the fact that Batman would have like adrenaline in his suit,
Mm-hmm.
but
Absolutely.
I wish we would have gotten more ideas of what's in that suit because it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
consistent throughout the whole movie, and then just to have the adrenaline
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Yep. Because he doesn't have a ton of gadgets.
No, he does not. He's got like the grappling hook, and that's about it.
And when the other pretty sci-fi thing with the Batmobile, they do allude to a bit in some banter.
The Batmobile in this movie is my favorite Batmobile.
Really good.
Oh my god, dude! Like,
It's a real Batmobile. It feels like something. It feels like something that somebody could make in their fucking garage, and I love that.
I love the scene where they're tracking down Penguin and whatnot, and they're like, the Penguin's like, "Oh, I'm about to get away, wah ha ha ha," and then you
Mhm.
just hear the vroom, 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 and like my dumb ape brain was just like
It's
jumping.
great.
I love the intimidation factor of that motor.
Mm-hmm.
That thing does not need a silencer. That thing needs to be
No.
louder. Fucking, I want people to be afraid of that thing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, back to the ending though. I do want to point out
Yes.
this. This is my favorite ending in a Batman movie. Not because like it's a good ending. I think it has some flaws, like you said, with the adrenaline and whatnot.
Yep.
What I like is that it's Batman saving people and not fighting the big villain at the end.
Yes.
So many superhero movies are the big fucking villain at the end. I
Yep.
like that this is the villain won. Now we need to clean the fuck up.
Yep.
Yeah. And I do like that Riddler wins in this movie. I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of. I guess we'll see, right?
Yeah. I mean,
He executed his plan perfectly. If his plan works, mm-hmm.
what was his plan after the flooding? It was like profit.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. So his whole plan was basically just to like tear down the corrupt everything that was old Gotham so
Yeah.
that it can be built up fresh.
That's right.
In this case, literally by wiping it away with a flood, basically.
Yeah. I like that we have Incel Riddler. Incel Riddler is a cool
Yeah.
idea. Riddler is
Very of the time.
he's my favorite cam girl right now.
I don't think you could have any time before this, Incel Riddler would not have worked.
No, like he's like this perfect mash between Elliot Rodger, the YouTube like shooter, and
Hmm.
this Zodiac,
Hmm.
and it's just fun. It's a fun portrayal, and like I hate
Yep.
that I know this character so well.
Yep.
And I do like the kind of. I found it to be a joke at the end that you have this incel rotting in his cell, and then who comes to like comfort him but the Joker?
Yep. Presumably, yes.
Presumably the Joker. I mean, it can't be anybody else though.
Hmm. I wouldn't expect it to be.
No. What are your hopes for the next Batman movie?
My number one hope, because I think it's pretty assured that sometime around 20, probably 2024,
Yeah.
maybe, we'll get another Batman movie. What I hope for is that in 2025, we get a standalone Catwoman movie of like, what is
Ooh.
this big heist she has upstate? What happens
Ooh.
then?
Yes. I like it. I like it a lot.
Because I would really enjoy having like you were saying with a second Batman movie where some Robin character gets introduced and that happens, and then sort of like congruent with those events, something happens with Catwoman, Selena Kyle, that has her own story and her own character growth that then pushes kind of like everyone back together for what would be like a trilogy sort of finale kind
Yeah.
of thing. But yeah, I really want more time with that character than we got in this because it has a lot to be explored. And I really liked how it was like they actually was like, yeah, she just has a lot of cats.
Yeah.
That was just like a small detail, but it was just like, yeah, I believe that. That's fine. It shows that she like genuinely, because that was the thing with Anne Hathaway's Catwoman, is that she was very self-serving and very sort of Robin Hood-ish, steal from the rich, give to the poor,
Yeah.
but also to her own end. Whereas this Catwoman basically lives in the slums and seems to genuinely give a shit about people who are, the strays of the world. And that was really nice.
I agree.
Like, this is a really shitty world and these are shitty people living in it, but they do have morals.
Um, I do want to say one more thing about the shitty people living in this world.
Mm.
Jeffrey Wright is the one true Jim Gordon at this point. Never
I'm
thought
not quite there yet, but I
you
do really like him.
this man
He's a
is
contender for sure.
yeah. Who okay. Are you referring to like um fuck Nolan Gordon as his competition?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. To me, yes.
Okay. Um I do get it. I mean, Dark Knight has a lot of meat for Gordon as a character, and
Yep.
I would like to see more of Jeffrey Wright Gordon, but I do like how he has a very strong working relationship with Batman in this movie. These two feel
Yep.
like it feels like a buddy cop film with those two. Like not like a traditional 80s buddy cop, but like these are partners.
Yes.
Yes.
I will say there were times when Jeffrey Wright's James Gordon felt too much like Felix in the Bond movies. I think a part of that was kind of the voice he was doing for it. That sort of low gravelly thing
Yeah.
is exactly the same that he did in the Bond movies. And it was just kind of like, I think I've seen this character before kind of feeling.
That makes sense.
But it still worked. It wasn't bad. It's probably just more my fault for watching so much Bond movies, if anything.
I have not seen a single Bond movie, so I will give you that.
You know.
My hopes, right?
Mhm.
Here's what I'm thinking. I want a Batman Arkham Asylum movie. Not like a one to one of
Yeah.
the game, but hear me out. It's basically Die Hard, but with Batman in an insane asylum of supervillains.
Okay.
So you have Gotham all damaged up and whatnot, right?
Hmm.
And the whole sequence is that there are people finding ways to get in and out of Arkham. So you
Yeah.
have Batman go in kind of undercover, not necessarily as Batman, but like just kind of like in the walls, taping the place, and it all kind of climaxes on one night where the prisoners riot. It's like we're talking like the Joker, we're talking like Riddler coming back, and you have Batman basically going inside to like calm everybody down, kick everybody's ass, just to quell the place because the last thing Gotham needs is a breakout.
Yep.
And then you have him have a man in the chair, but not just any man in the chair, his new adopted son, Robin. And
Mm.
then you have Joker be the only one that gets out, finds out about Robin being his man in the chair, takes out Robin, and then that's what leads to like the big third act final fight between the two of them that ultimately ends with Bruce realizing he was too late. Joker won, and we give him another like what's the word I'm looking for? Another situation where he lost. Like I like the
Yep.
idea of Batman losing in these movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would I so here's my elevator pitch for Batman 2.
Go on, please.
I would like to see the emphasis put on Arkham. I think that is definitely the right thing, and the fact that they name dropped it as being Martha's maiden name, I don't think is a coincidence.
No. Like if
Because
this first
like,
movie was about the father, let's do Arkham about
yep,
the mother.
yep. What I want is like in the aftermath of, and they kind of maybe botched it with the ending that they did where they teased there. I want like Joker to set up Arkham as like his fort,
Yeah.
fortified,
Mhm.
because it is a jail. So they can't get in or out, but they are in and nobody else can get in either.
Yeah.
So you have Batman trying to get in for some reason. Something like, say current Arkham is like on the grounds of like an old Arkham estate. And
Okay.
there's something related to his mother that he needs to get in there to find,
Mhm.
like either documentation or, he's like still trying to figure out his own family's history
Mhm.
from what happened before then. And that's where the old like Arkham house is, where documentation and like catacombs or something like that. So he's trying to sneak into Arkham for his own purposes of continuing to solve the mystery of his own family while also trying to do what he can about this uprising that's happened.
Yes.
And I would like to, I think Robin is definitely the right addition. I could very much see the sort of turning point being something like Robin helping out from the sidelines.
Yes.
You know, I do really like the Robin that they did in Dark Knight Rises with um Joseph Gordon-Levitt
Mm.
being somebody else on the police force. I think that was really effective and opens up a lot of opportunities for having Robin be a character that is adjacent to Batman and can support him without being a completely new character altogether, right?
Mhm. Yes.
So you can have someone be Robin as, that police role similar to what Gordon does, but more on the ground.
Mhm.
And then have it escalate to the point where Robin thinks he needs to go in to help Batman in Arkham, and that's when things kind of go sideways because he's, young and inexperienced and gets himself caught or something.
Yeah.
And in trying to get Robin out of presumably like Joker's capture, he inadvertently is tricked by Joker into also kind of releasing Arkham and inadvertently also Joker.
I like that. I really do.
So then you have Batman, this sort of the same idea with how the Riddler used Batman to get to his own ends. Joker is doing the same thing and kind of showing Batman's shortcomings again in a similar way.
So I'm going to address the clown in the room with this pitch because I like that.
Yes.
I like this Arkham idea that we came up with.
Yes.
Um, that does include we would have to have a Harley Quinn appearance in this movie because it just makes sense. It would sell
Probably.
so many fucking tickets. So the question is, do you get Margot Robbie to play another version of Harley Quinn because she's kind of the definitive Quinn, or do you get someone else?
I don't think you could. Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn is way too loud
Mm,
for the tone that they've set. It would feel very out of place.
you're right. You're right.
Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn is the Harley Quinn in a world that's full of superheroes, you know?
Yes. A
And
big
this is not that
personality
world.
among big
Not yet.
personalities.
Yes.
Yes. You're right.
What else has Margot Robbie done? I don't actually know.
I'm just trying to think because like I like the idea of the bat instead of calling it the Batman, right? You call it the Arkham Asylum.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Yeah.
I could see that working.
And then you need to figure out what the next Nirvana song is going to be for the soundtrack because I like the idea of Nirvana scoring this whole series.
Mm-hmm. It will definitely be interesting. I don't know. I don't know where they go with this Batman because I really like this Batman, but it just doesn't fit with any of the rest of the DC stuff they've set up so far.
It
It
doesn't
feels
have to.
so different.
Yeah.
Well, right, but it feels like they're trying to. With
Yeah.
did your theater play the little trailer at the start of it that showed like Black Adam and stuff?
So here's the thing. I showed up really late to my theater and
Okay.
I just barely got in at the scene where Riddler kills the mayor.
Mm,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. Yeah, there's the one I was the showing I was at, they had like a DCEU trailer
Mhm.
at the very start of it that showed Christian Bale Batman, The Rock Black Adam, a Flash, I think not quite like fully titled, but a Flash movie
Okay.
and an Aquaman sequel.
Oh
And it
no.
implied that these four movies were together in the DC world, which seemed weird for the tone that the Batman set. Because that put me off at the start of it. It's just like, oh, this is going to be like the same tone as Aquaman? What? And then it's like, no, no, this is about what I expected. The hell are they trying to connect these for? These are so different. These are not the same world. So I really don't know what they're doing, what the plan is. Hopefully, they just keep them separate. But who knows? It's awkward, you know, because they have the Suicide Squad part of this that is like completely not to be taken seriously at all.
Mhm.
You have the Snyder Justice League shit that wants to be taken seriously but isn't really that serious. You have um the Batman that is still in the world of superheroes and supervillains, but to a much smaller scale, talking about like criminal underworlds more to that type of superhero. You know, the Penguin isn't a supervillain as much as a crime boss with a lot of influence, for example. And then we have Joker that is no superheroes or super villains. It's just a guy who is very deeply disturbed and talking about his life. And all of these feel like they're trying to connect them, but you can't because they're so different.
Unfortunately, you're right. I don't know what you can really
Yeah.
do like with all these pieces of these
Mm-hmm.
puzzles because like nothing fits. And I'm of the opinion,
In a perfect world,
yeah.
they'll just do nothing. They'll just let them stand on their own because you can have like we did before, you can have superhero franchises that aren't these massive compilations that tie all together. You don't have to have that.
Says you.
Yeah, but I feel like they're going to get greedy and try to.
Well, yeah, dude. After like how well this movie did,
Mm-hmm. To be fair, it's not doing that well. Like it's doing fine, but it's not like smash, destroy everything else.
no, I think it came out at the wrong time to be a smash destroy
Yeah.
everything else.
You know,
because it really has no
300 million.
competition.
That's actually not bad at all.
Yeah,
That's just in North America.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's top in the box office, I guess.
But again, I don't think it's smashed anything else because it doesn't have any competition.
Not especially, no. Typically, this would be the kind of week where, any other decade, you would have like where is I guess they've changed it to weekend earnings. That's actually kind of nice if this actually works. But it's not working. Come on, Rotten Tomatoes. Do the thing. It's not working. Top box office. Does that work? There we go. So like Turning Red. That would be something that would definitely compete just for seats in the theater before this. But because it's releasing on Disney Plus, if you're a parent, you're just gonna watch it at home, realistically.
I mean, why go out to the movie theater with
Right.
your little hellspawn goblins when
Mm-hmm.
you can just tune in at home?
Yep. Yeah. March is definitely kind of a weird time frame for a release, for sure.
I'm cool with it.
It works out, like what was their budget? Let's see. I'd imagine it can't have been too much. Budget of 200 million. So easily made back its budget.
Yeah, this.
Just with like domestic showings. Doesn't count anything international. So very much a box office success, even if it's not a smash hit. Good job.
Yeah,
You,
good.
you, you did it, DC. You made a successful movie that also made money.
I mean, it's been a while.
It has been.
I really want DC to do good, and I feel like they're on their way to getting it right. It's just a matter of how much they choose to slam on the gas.
Yep. If they learn from the success of Joker and the Batman, I think they will be doing well because these are clearly superhero movies, live action, on the big screen, offering something Marvel can't.
Yes.
They've tried to do that, but they haven't gotten there yet. And if DC can recognize that, they can undercut them sharply with
Mm.
this more sci-fi, less superhero type stuff
I I've been
by
saying
tapping
this.
into traditional genres.
I've been saying this for a hot second here. Um, Superhero movies need to evolve if they're going to stay alive. They can no longer be just a superhero movie.
Yep. That was the thing why I liked Loki so much because it broke out of that mold of being just a superhero movie to play on harder sci-fi concepts.
Yes, Loki is very good sci-fi. It is pretty
Yep.
much just Norse Doctor Who.
Yeah. It stands up entirely on its own. You really don't need to know much of anything about Marvel to watch it and appreciate the sci-fi elements.
Of course. That being said,
Yes.
I don't know. Uh Netflix now. I'm sorry, Disney Plus now added all those Netflix shows.
Yeah.
When are you fucking touching Daredevil, boy?
Gives me some homework.
Yeah.
Things have been really busy lately, so I don't know, genuinely.
Oh, fair enough.
We'll see. I normally try to watch stuff like that, like on my lunches at work.
Mm,
But it's been pretty jammed, so we'll see how it goes.
fair enough. Oh shit. Okay. So I just got this off the Batman Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's no good source on this, so take this with a grain of salt. Um, let me read this real quick just to make sure I know what I'm saying. The Batman launched at Lincoln Center in New York on March 1st, 2022, and was theatrically released worldwide on March 4th. It was delayed twice for an initial June 2021 release date due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The film has grossed over 598 million against a 185 to 200 million dollar budget, making it the second highest grossing film of 2022, and received praises for its performances, cinematography, Reeves' direction, music, action sequences, and story, though some criticized its runtime. The film is intended to launch a Batman shared universe with two sequels planned, a two spin off TV series in development for HBO Max. So it sounds like it's trying to be a Batman cinematic universe instead of DC.
I'm fine with that.
I think it
You know,
works.
it is totally fine to have it be its own thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't all have to connect back together. I really liked how they embraced that with the Suicide Squad movie. How
Yeah.
it's just like, let's focus on making something good before making something big, and it's been working. So you know, if that is what pays your bills, DC, keep it up.
Pattinson, Pattinson and Reeves expressed interest in introducing Robin and featuring the Court of Owls, Calendar Man, Mr. Freeze, or Hush as villains in a potential sequel.
Can you imagine that? I would love that. This is the kind of the pacing of it that they've established, if they keep with that, would totally work with trying to convey the nuance with a character like that.
Which one?
Mr. Freeze.
Of course.
A lot of the bigger, more, just bigger superhero movies have so much stuff happening and it's so fast and it has to be so black and white all the time that you couldn't really get away with something like that. But with this, I feel like you really could with how they've set up that you can have interactions between the big bad and the good guy, and they're not just beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Like when the first time Batman and Riddler meet face to face is with a big piece of fucking plexi between them.
I don't think he actually punches Riddler at all in this movie.
He doesn't touch him. He
Yeah.
can't. There's not a chance for it.
No.
It's all through messages, videos, audio, and codes.
So, spin off series. By September
Yes.
2021, HBO Max was developing a spin off series focused on the Penguin. Lauren LaFranc was hired as
Okay.
showrunner, with Reeves and Clark serving as executive producers. Farrell signed on to reprise his role an executive producer in December of 2021. Reeves compared the series to The Long Good Friday and Scarface, with it charting Penguin's rise to power in Gotham's criminal underworld, featuring following the events of the film. The spin-off was the furthest along in development in March 2022, and Reeves said it would come before a sequel to The Batman. HBO ordered The Penguin in a limited series run that month.
I'm still shocked that Penguin is Colin Farrell. Like what?
And here's the second series, good sir. When revealing that the Gotham City Police Department spin-off series was not moving forward for the original Batman shared universe in March 2022, Reeves explained that it led work to a new idea based on Arkham Asylum. He said the series would build
Hmm.
around Arkham's introduction in the film and explore the origins of different characters related to it. He envisioned it as a horror series, with Arkham being depicted as a haunted house.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
I
Sort of
dig
like
it.
a creature of the month kind of thing with the different inmates.
I like the idea of them going through like psychology, like
Mm-hmm.
like psychotherapy while doing it.
Yep.
I like it. I am so hyped.
No, but like, quick aside.
Yeah.
How is this the same guy? The amount of facial prosthetics they have on him is wild.
I think it's a mix of facial prosthetics and CGI, to be honest.
I don't know. I hope it doesn't look like a bunch of CGI with the way that they did it. It's the kind of thing that would be way easier to just say, "Hey, Colin, gain 30 pounds and we'll put some fake scars on you."
Yeah.
Like that's the easy way of doing it. But phenomenal work. I'd be well in favor of more Colin Farrell's The Penguin.
Yeah. I'm 1000% into it. This is just a wealth of great stuff coming possible. This has so much potential.
I don't. Let me look at the cast here. Is there anybody who was like a named character that was bad? I don't think so. No one stood out as like an obviously awkward or not good character. They all worked pretty damn well.
Um,
Oh, it's a shame that they don't have a picture for this guy, the Officer Martinez, because he had a pretty big role in it. I really that was great just to see that difference from the start to the end of how like even somebody as against the Batman as him at the start because of his vigilantism, by the end of it is just kind of just like, yeah, we'll see how this guy does.
yeah,
It was great. It
super
was
into
very
it.
well used.
I don't know.
I have one last if that's about it, I have one last thing to add on here.
Okay, go on.
Okay. If you want more John Turturro, which you should, I highly recommend Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It is a Coen brother comedy drama from 2000 with John Turturro, uh, George Clooney, and John Goodman. And it is amazing. If you haven't seen it, find a way to see it because it is like probably one of the best movies of like the current generation. It's great.
Noted.
It is a follows Clooney, Turturro, and third one played by Tim Blake Nelson, three men who are working a chain gang that break away, and as they're trying to evade the law, which is I believe John Goodman, they find themselves in a radio station, and along with the rest of their antics, become like hit movie stars. It's like this weird sort of like episodic thing where there's these little slices that take place as they're going through the southern countryside trying to evade the law that these things happen. It's great. It's weird, it's funny, it's just kind of really good. Highly recommended. Also, it's like an what is it? It's an allegory for some Greek journey, one of like the Greek great stories. I don't remember which one, but it's like a straight allegory for it, but also a comedy. So yeah, that's all I got.
Do you think we'll ever get the classic Riddler outfit?
I hope not. I know people like that, but I really, really don't.
I like Zodiac
I'm
Killer Riddler.
I'm so glad as a society we have kind of as a whole moved away from camp in general because people can tell themselves people are allowed to like whatever they want, but people have told themselves that because they like it it's good. And it's not good. You can enjoy it. It's not good. I enjoy garbage all the time, but I'm able to recognize that it's not good garbage. It's still bad.
Damn, dude.
I'm just so tired of it. I've seen so much of it on social media, like, actually, it's not as good as X or Y thing from the 80s that I liked. It's like, dude, read the room. It's not meant to be. So, as a society, we should move on.
I love it. So what's next?
That's kind of all I have, actually.
Fair
It
enough.
is a bit slow, all considered. Skimming to make sure nothing broke. Oh, there's some dumb shit in the UK with Boris Johnson. Who would have imagined?
Oh yeah, Partygate.
No, no, this is different.
Oh.
This was apparently he compared the current situation in Ukraine to Brexit in that he said Britons, like Ukrainians, had the instinct to choose freedom and cited their 2016 vote to leave the European Union, not recognizing how in order for Ukraine to choose freedom, they're trying to join the European Union.
It's kind of amazing. So you're saying that we need to like, how do I put this? Do a Ukraine on the UK just because they're unnatofied land.
Who knows? Who knows what anything Boris Johnson says means?
He is like a big like yeti. I don't know what he's saying, but he's obviously trying to communicate.
Hmm. He's also lying out of the corner of his mouth half the time, anyways. So,
You ain't wrong, son. Okay. Anything else before we wrap up?
all I got.
Ballin'. I'm Miss Orion, and I've been a Batman fan.
And I'm Chiral, and I've been a schmo.
This has been the Two Schmo Show, baby.